Okay guys, welcome back to episode 4 of our slab stacking game. We're getting this game done very soon. Hopefully we don't run into any more bugs, but today we are carrying on from the previous episode where we spawned in a new cube or a new slab and then actually had it fall out of the scene. Today we are going to go and quickly change the color of the slab that we instantiate into the scene so that it matches the color of the current slab that you stopped. And then after that we are going to go and create a spawner class so that whenever you have stopped your current slab that is moving, it goes and spawns in a new slab on top of that, so that the game continuously goes on and on and on until you finally reach the point where there is no slab left. So let's go and start doing this. I don't know how far we'll get in today's episode, but hopefully it goes smoothly. So first of all, let's go and change some things up in our code. So let's go to our script here, and I think in our, where is it? In our split cube. Okay, yeah, so this is what we want to do. So let's go, I already did it, but we'll do it again. So in our split cube method, whenever we go and instantiate the new slab that we are replacing, whenever we resize our current slab once you've stopped it, first of all we go and create the slab, then we go and change the scale and the position of it. The next thing we need to do is, before we go and destroy it, or before we go and add a rigid body onto it so that it falls out of the scene, we need to go and change the color. Because if we save this and go to our game, let's go and play it quickly just to make sure that everything is actually working. So let's go press play, and you'll see that if we stop it, you can see that our slab is actually white and it doesn't match the current color of our current slab. So let's go and change that. So to do that, we need to go and say slab dot, what is it? I think it's get component. Get component, and then I think it's renderer, and then I think it's going to be material color. So we're going to set that equal to our current, what's it called, our current slab's color. So let's go and say transform dot get component renderer dot color, no, dot material dot color. So that's gonna go and set the current color of the slab that we just generated and going to assign it to the current, or it's going to assign the color of the current slab that's there. So I don't think we need to do transform. I think we can just say get component dot renderer material dot color. So let's go save that, and then let's go play the game again and see if this actually works. So we should see now that whenever we press on the game and the slab gets stopped, it spawns in a new slab that is, or that matches the current color of, that's pretty cool, of our, what's it called, our previous slab. So we're gonna deal with that bug later on, but for now we'll leave it like that. So what is next? So the next thing we need to do is we need to go and add in a spawner, because whenever we go and play the game and we stop the slab, we don't want the game to just end there because it's a boring game. We want to go and carry on with the game. So let's go and create a new empty object, and this will be our spawner. So let's go and do that. So let's just go and apply all of our overrides to our moving slab. Then on our spawner game object, we are going to create a new script, and this is going to be called our cube spawner. Or let's keep it slab, because actually you could probably do whatever you want, because I feel like we've mixed everything up. Like here we've got cube, there we've got cube, in our scripts we've got slab. It's not very good practice, but it's a small project. Let's say slab spawner. So we shall create that, and then let's just move it into our scripts folder, because I know that when it creates it, it doesn't put it in the right folder. It puts it into our assets folder. So we should now see, we should have another script over here. Okay, so I don't think we will need these. So let's go get rid of them. I could be wrong, but for now, let's just get rid of them. So the first thing we want is we need to have some sort of reference to the slab that we are going to keep instantiated into the scene. So let's go and get a prefab of that. So we'll create a serialized field just so that we can drag and drop the prefab into the inspector. So serialized field, this I believe is going to be a game object. And we will call this, actually, rather, this is not going to be a game object, it's going to be a moving cube. And then we will also call this moving cube, I think. Actually, let's go and say moving cube prefab. Just because so that we know that it is a prefab. Okay, so we'll save that. Before we forget, let us go back into the inspector and drag that in. So we'll click on our spawner game object in the scene, go down to our prefabs, and then here we have our moving cube, and we can drag and drop that into there. Save that. So now whenever we go and play the game, we should not get any errors. So let's go and see what's next. So I do have a plan over here. So create an empty object, which we've done, add a script to it, create a cube prefab, which we've done, create a spawn cube method, which we haven't done, but we shall do that now. Let's go do that. So in our slab spawner class here, let us create a new, I feel like this should be private, so let's go and set it to private, because I don't think we need to access it, but we might do. So we'll deal with that later, but for now let's say private void. Actually, you know what, this is going to have to be public, just because I think we're going to have to call it from our game manager. So public void spawn slab. So in here, this is where we are going to instantiate a new slab. So let's go and do that. Let's go and say var cube or slab. If I can type it, slab is going to be equal to instantiate. This going, or in brackets rather, this is going to be our moving cube prefab. So that's going to instantiate our our slab into the game, but we need to go and deal with that whenever we go and stop the slab. So whenever you press on the game with your mouse and it triggers this method here, it is going to stop the cube, but then we also need to tell it to instantiate a new one. So here we can go and say find object of type, not by type, and then this needs to be I think it's going to be moving cube, yeah, there it is. And then this needs to be dot spawn, no, sorry, so this needs to be slab spawner, because that is where we have our do we spawn, this needs to be in there, slab spawner dot spawn slab, that needs to be like that, I feel like, but that doesn't work, so let's figure out why. Find object of type, maybe it needs to be object, like that, there we go. So it needs to be find object of type, not find objects of type. Okay, so we'll save that, and then let's just go and see what this actually does. So let's go back into the game and check. So if we play the game and we stop, okay, so there is our, okay, so it is continuously spawning in new slabs, which is good, but what we don't want is it to continuously spawning at the same position. So let's go and deal with the position so that it spawns on top of the previous one. So to do that, we need to go and change it over, where is it? It needs to be changed in, I think it's in our moving cube. So here on enable, we can go and change the position of the slab to be above the previous one. So to do that, let's go and say under current cube is equal to this, we can go and say our transform dot local scale is equal to, actually I think this is wrong, let's see where we at. Yeah, that's wrong. We'll deal with that later. So before we do that, I'm jumping ahead of myself here. We need to go back to our spawn slab here, and we need to finish this class. So here we want to say, where is it? So this is where, in fact, we are going to change the position of it. So once we've instantiated it into the class, we need to, or not the class, into the scene, we need to go ahead and change where it is. So instead of just instantiating it into the same position all the time, we want to go and place it, I think it is 0.1 above the previous one, because our moving cube has a Y scale of 0.1. So if we add 0.1 to the Y value every single time we instantiate it, it should appear one slab above the previous one every time. It should. Whether it does, who knows? Let's go and see. So let's go and say, where am I? We need to go and say cube or slab.transform.position. Slab.transform.position is going to be equal to a new vector 3. So this is going to be our transform.position.x, because I don't think that needs to be changed. I think the only thing that needs to be changed is the Y value. So this needs to be changed to our moving cube dot the last cube, so that you get the position of the previous cube, which is going to be dot transform dot position dot Y. Then we need to go and add that difference onto it. So what we do know is that whenever we instantiate a new slab into it, it needs to be 0.1 above. So we could easily just go plus 0.1, but you don't want to do that, because if we change the size of the slabs later on in the game, you're going to come and have to change that value manually. So what we will do is we will not hard code that value, but we will go and say cube, what is it? Moving cube prefab dot transform dot position, no, not position, not local scale, not local Euler angles. Let's try that again. Dot local scale dot Y. So that should give us the correct position. Once it's added the size of the previous one to the current Y position. So the next thing we need to do is we need to simply say .transform.position.z. So let's just go and copy paste that and put that like that, so that we don't have to waste time on typing that. So we'll save that, and then let us go and see what that does to the game. So we should see that whenever we stop. Okay, so clearly it's not quite working how we want it to, which of course, why would it? So let's see, we stop that there. So it is kind of changing position, which is not exactly where we want it to be. So transform.position.z x, and then moving cube.last cube.transform.position.y, and then plus the cube prefab dot transform.localscale.y, which is fine, transform.position.y. Okay, so now let's go and see what else do we want to do. First of all, we need to do a check. So after we have instantiated the cube, we need to do some sort of check and see if the last cube is not equal to null, and the last cube is not equal to the start cube, then we can go and set the position of it. So let's go and add that into it. So let's go and say if bracket is, what did I say? If the, I think it's, no, what is it going to be? It's moving cube dot last cube is not equal to null. So there is something there, not equal to null. And so double and signs, and the moving cube dot last cube dot, we'll compare the game objects, is not equal to, what did I say it's not equal to? I completely forgot. It's not equal to, I think it's the game object. So the game object, so it's the first object. So find, what am I doing? Game object dot find, and this is going to be, I think we called it the start. Yeah, start. So this is going to be our very start cube, start like that. So if that, so we need to open bracket, and then I think we need to close bracket here. So let's see if that works. And we also need to close bracket over there. Too many brackets. Save that. So if that checks out, then it should work, I think. Else we have to add a else statement. So okay, so clearly that's not quite working how we wanted. So let's go and say else. I hate it when it doesn't add both brackets. So in this else statement here, we need to go and say cube dot trans, what am I doing? It needs to be slab rather. Slab dot transform dot position is going to be equal to transform dot position. So we'll save that, and now hopefully that should fix our problems. So if we play the game, let's see if this works. It probably is not going to work. And of course, why is it all the way down there? Very interesting. Alrighty, so we need to do a few checks. So let's go play this again and see. So let's stop it on this side. So let's just pause it quickly. So a moving cube now has a y value of -4, which really should have a y value of about, what is it? 0.6 or something. So let's check. If the moving cube dot last cube is not equal to null, so if there is something there, and the moving cube dot last cube dot game object is not equal to game object dot find the start, so it's not equal to the very first massive cube that we placed as a starting block, then it should go and say slab.transform.position. So change the position of the slab to be equal to a new vector 3, where it gets the size of the previous cube, which is fine. Is that right though? I feel like that's not right, because if we look in here and see, let's go and play this again. If we go and actually, I'm going to do that again. So let's go and actually, let's just pause it. And then I want to change the position. Where to go? Just so I can see where this has been instantiated. So let's go play the game and see. We'll play it and then stop it there. Okay, so that stops there. Now that we've done that, let's go and check something else. Okay, so you can see that here it is kind of working, but okay, so I think I know how to fix this. So as you can see that this is working, but it's not. Okay, so it's not working. So we need to fix that. But that's pretty cool. They look like pizza boxes. Okay, so let's go and see if we can figure this out. So in our what's the time? We're on 20 minutes. So let's see. We might just have to do a few things in our moving cube here. So when we enable it, we might have to go and change the scale of it. Actually, I think we're missing a step here. No, we've done that. Let's see, spawn, which we worked in destroy, we don't really need because that's just our slab at the very bottom of the game. Our game manager is fine. We don't need to do anything in there. Actually, we might need to do something in there. So let's go and see. Let's go and do this. So I think we might need to check here if our moving cube, if our current cube is equal to null. Then, or if it's not equal to null, so if there is something in the scene that is moving, then we should allow it to stop. So let's go and do that. So let's go and say if the moving cube dot current cube is not equal to null. I feel like this is not really going to change anything, but we can do that. So if it's not equal to null, then we can go and stop the cube. So we'll save that, and then we will leave that like that and see. And let's just go and see what this does. But I feel like that's not really going to change anything to the game. So we might have to figure it out in the next game, which, yeah, that's fine, because that doesn't do anything. But let's just try and figure this out. So our moving slab is this one. Our moving cube is that one. The cube is the... Okay, so this is the cube that actually gets... No, it's not. Wait, is it spawning two cubes in? Okay, so we have our first one. Okay, yeah, so it's spawning in. It's calculating that hangover with this cube over here and actually spawning in two cubes, which is correct. But what's not correct is where it is spawning those cubes. So slab spawner. So this is where we have that problem. So this is not working properly. The Y value is not correct here. So let's go and figure it out. So for the moving cube, we get the Y position from the moving cube dot last cube dot transform dot position. So let's go and play the game and see what that is. So if we start and pause it rather. So we'll pause it over there. So now let's see our moving cube, which is this one, dot last cube, which is going to be, I believe, this one, dot transform dot position dot Y, which is 0. Then we want to add a moving cube prefab, which is this one, I believe. I think it's... We might have to... Hold on, let me just check something. So I think we might have to change the position of that, maybe. So let's do this quick. Did I use the right axes? Let's see, Y and Y. Yeah, that's fine. Let's see. 0.55, yeah, that's fine. Let's see, does that match ours? Bear with me while we figure this out. So our moving cube is this one, and then that's 0.55, which is fine, which is where we wanted to start. Our scale is 0.1, so it's confusing. Why is it all the way down there? That is our moving cube, and it's at -4. Where's it getting -4 from? I'm going to do something here quick. Let's go and do this. Debug.log. We probably don't need to do this, but let's go and do this and paste that in there, just so we can check and see what is happening here. So let's go copy and paste that, and then I'm going to put this in here. So let's save that, and then we should see these values printed out in our in the console. So play that, and then let's pause the game over there, which we don't get anything printed out. Spawn slab. Let's try that again. No, that can't have anything to do anything with anything. But first of all, just for future references, we need to go and disable our box collider. So let's go and disable that, and then I think our start will disable as well. And then I think that's it. So we'll save that. On our moving cube, we need to apply that. And let's just play the game quickly and see. That's not going to make a difference, but it's still not really spawning in the correct place. So I think we'll end this episode over here, just so that we can, or at least I can go and figure out how to fix this, so that you guys don't have to sit here watching me figure it out, because it could take 5 minutes, it could take an hour, who knows. But I'll go and figure that out, and then in tomorrow's episode I will fix it for you. And then I think, what else do we have to do? We have to actually change the size of the new slab that gets instantiated into the scene, so that it's not the normal starting size, and it actually gets smaller and smaller, so that the game actually does end eventually. So we'll probably do that in tomorrow's episode. But again, thank you for watching if you made this far, and I hope you're enjoying this game series, because it's about time we got it done. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today, so I'll see you guys tomorrow. Goodbye.